So most believers I know that might not even be believers will tell you that salvation is a mix of faith plus works. Because in James, it's taught that faith without works is dead. But this is where rightly dividing the word of truth kicks in. And it needs to be, because Ephesians 2 verses 8 through 9 teaches otherwise contrary. But we know that the word of God has no contradiction. So we have to rightly divide the word of God. And by doing the good work as a Berean, you know what applies to Israel, the Jews, and what applies to the church. Because the things of the Old Testament and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and after the epistles of the Apostle Paul, is actually only for the Jews. But to our learning, we have to learn from it. We have to apply the spiritual things that are taught in those books. So Ephesians 2 verse 8 and 9 says, "For by grace you have been saved." By grace, through faith. It is the gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. And if you continue teaching and think that you help a lot of people coming to Christ, being saved, and you teach a work-based salvation, you might even drive them to the point of going to hell. And I'm not condemning you, because it is the error of the world since in the Garden of Eden, that we can become our own gods, that we can do it ourselves. But just think for a moment, if we just could add just a tiny bit to the salvation, Jesus dying on the cross to take away the sin of the world, if we could add just a tiny bit, would it then be the finished work of Jesus? Would he even have to go to the cross then to pay for the sin? If we could do it ourselves, if we could add just a tiny bit to it. I tell you, it's the lie of the devil, and most, I believe, 80% of believers proclaim that you have to be saved by faith and works. But we are saved apart from works. It even says so in the Word of God. And in Hebrews, I believe it's chapter 10. It's either chapter 1, chapter 10, or chapter 11, where it's talked about the faith in the Old Testament, that Abraham was accounted, his faith was accounted for righteousness because he believed God. That is the way of salvation throughout the entire Word of God, throughout the Bible. And yeah, that is what I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to make some more on this, because it's really the thing of the day, that if you don't believe the Word of God, that Jesus, God manifested in the flesh, came to die on the cross to pay for the sin of the world, that he was buried and rose again by the power of God on the third day, and that he sits on the right side on the throne in heaven by God the Father. I'm just not sure that you're saved. I'm not sure that you teach the true gospel, because it's another gospel. It's the gospel of the Pharisees. I'll go as far as to say that. So I don't want to condemn you. I do this out of love. I do this because I want to see people get saved. This is what I do. This is actually my whole day goes about trying to give out the gospel in love, in grace, to help people avoid going to hell. This is what I do. This is the only thing I do. My mind cannot stop thinking about the Word of God. Throughout a whole day, I cannot stop thinking about the Word of God. So, yeah, because I love God, because he loved me first. So, love you all, and see you in the next video. Bye.